Well, there's a passenger side lower door pillar in place. It took a little while on this one because it didn't fit that well, but I got her put together and it looks all right. So I'd mentioned earlier that I had to, because of the way that it fit, I was going to have to split it. And so I did. I split it along this edge here. I don't know if you can tell or not, but that's where it was split. And had to open up about a 1/4 inch and to get it in place. Also in here, around in this area here, I ground that off. Just it was thicker, so I ground it down so that it matched the cab. And I had to do that on both sides. And then along the bottom here, I don't know if you'll see very good, but the bottom along here lined up well. And fender hole, got that done. Boxed in, had to replace this box around where the cab support is, and got it all done. So today I'm going to remove the floor pans and start fitting in new ones. The cab mounts on this truck were rusted away. Basically the driver's side was gone to the point where it actually collapsed, and when I was taking pictures of how the doors and everything lined up and fenders and stuff, I actually put blocks of wood underneath the cab there to get it to sit relatively where it needed to be, just so I could get the body lines. And so there was not much left of that one. The passenger side one over here wasn't as bad, but the only thing that was holding it in place was the floor pan. I got them laying on the floor here, and as you can see, the passenger's one, or driver's one, sorry, was it was collapsed. There's nothing left of it. It's all folded over. The passenger's one wasn't as bad, and I'm glad that there was a piece in there that I wouldn't have known about if it was rusted away as bad as the driver's side one. So inside of here, where I should be able to see it there. Inside where the bolt goes through, there's a bushing in there, and then there's a plate mounted inside of there that the bushing is welded to. And that's to prevent the pieces from pulling together when you tighten down the cab mount to the floor pans, so it doesn't suck together. The new ones don't have that. The new ones look like this. They don't have a hole. They're just a box, and you have to drill a hole when you get everything fitted in place. So what I'm going to do is I'll cut a bushing and a plate, and I will put it in place once I know where the hole has to go. Back to the cab. Because I have no reference points where to start with the cab mounts, I went out to the to the frame, and I took my measurements on all the cab mount holes out there. So basically it's 38 wide at the back, center to center on the cab mounts, and the front cab mount to the rear cab mount is 41 inches. And the front cab mounts are, I don't know if you can see that, 45 and 9/16 apart. So I measured it and marked it on the truck as close as I could, and hopefully that'll get me close, to start. And on here, just to shorten things up, because this whole pan piece will be gone, so I put another reference here that at 21 inches, so we'll go from there to once all this other stuff is removed. So basically this front pan, I'm not using the whole piece that they sent. I'll be I'm trying to keep the original structure. This stuff is all good. There's no rust. So I'm trying to keep a lot of that stuff as much as I can, and because these have got the mounting bolts in for the transmission cover and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut along here and then down basically to the step of the door. And I'm staying close to this bend to keep the strength, because when you're welding it, things warp and move around a bit. So if you're close to a bend where there's extra strength, it doesn't do as much. So I'm trying to stay close to that. So then this piece will come out, and I will set in the new one and start working on getting it fitted into place. This side here, this piece isn't rusted. This piece is in good shape. On the driver's side, it was rusted. I had to build a new one, which took a while to make this radius, having to cut with a hacksaw numerous times and bend the lip over on the back side to get the radius. It took a bit, but I got it done, and it looks like it will work pretty well. So in here I've already drilled out my spot welds. So once I cut along these lines, I'll come with the air chisel and I'll pop these off, and I'll remove this place and clean up the rust underneath it here, and start trying to get things fitted in place. Let's go around to the driver's side here. And I don't have a light on this side, but I do have a trouble light. So here it is the pillar, lower door pillar, and again it fits pretty good. I had to split it along the bottom on the left hand side, but it was just a small amount that I had to work with there, and it come into place, and it fits really good. You can see it's tight up against the step there, and inside the width of the iron there, I got that ground to where it is the same. Got it in place. Here this is the side boxed in piece where the lower fender mounts down in that hole right there, and there's a weld that goes down the back side place. And this here is the front of the boxed in section, and you can see up here on the body I have some more rusted area. And what happens here is any dirt and debris that comes in your vents by your windshield, it gets inside of here and it just sits there, and the moisture causes it to rot and it just makes a hole. So I'll be cutting this piece out and replacing it once all the structural stuff is done. So if something else comes up, I will do another video. I've been working on these our cab mounts, and taken longer than what I thought it would take. I ran into a few items that took me a while to figure out. Having never done this before and not 100% sure what a guy's doing, you got to check and double check things, and when you run into a problem, it takes a while to figure out. So I'll try to show you here. Over on this side here, you can see there's a gap, and between the flanges, and then across the bottom and on this other side, it all fits good. It's actually tight enough that we can get it welded up. And I don't know if you can see, but it is actually on a bit of an angle. Over here, there's get it lined up here. That foot pedal is where it bolts there, and on the factory ones, there's metal that went right across between these two. These ones are quite a bit shorter, and they don't reach across, but it is on a slight angle. And that's why these flanges here in the corner look like they're offset, in which they are, but I didn't know that at the time. So I'll show you when you get them out of the box what they look like. When you get them, they are marked right and left. And when I took them out, I just glanced at them and they looked the same. I couldn't see any real difference in them. And then when I started trying to make the one on the driver's side fit back and forth, I was having issues. The flanges weren't anywhere close to being the same. So I did a little bit of checking, and they actually are different, right to left. So here you can see I got the square tight along the edge of this flange, and when you come across the other side, there's almost 1/4 of an inch here that it is longer. And to go, this one's for the passenger side, so to go over there, the inside would have to be longer. And this flange here, once you get it in the truck and you start on your tight side, so in this case I'd start over here and get this one tight, then come over here, and then I would have to rebend this one to the proper angle so that this flange is tight against the cab. And otherwise you'll end up getting debris and water behind there, and it'll just rust it out. The bottom part of this flange is, it's just there. It's just kind of on a weird angle. It's got no flange face to it whatsoever. So what I had to do to the one on the driver's side is I actually flattened this piece out straight, and when I put it in the truck, I heated it up with a torch along this face here, and then I clamped it with the vice grips so that it was a tight fit to the cab, and so that it was as tight as I could get it, and I left it clamped in there until it cooled down. The other flange on the sides, which on this case would be this one here, I straightened it out as well. So I brought this straight out and then rebent it across here as well so that it lined up excuse me, with the rest of the piece across here. And it took me about 10 times to in and out of the vehicle before I got it to the point where it fit good. So this one here I'm hoping doesn't take quite as long to do. Now I have a rough idea what needs to be done, and some of this could have been cleared up, if they'd in the box when you get these, if there was a little bit of instructions in there saying that you would have to rebend the flanges to fit the truck, then it would take some of that guesswork. You'd know that that's what you got to do, and you wouldn't be spending so much time trying to figure out why it doesn't fit, why it wants to be on an angle. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'll finish this one here. I'll get it mounted in tight. I'll pull it out of there and drill it, and get it put in place, and build a support for this cab mount here, and then put the floor pans in, tack them in place. I think what I'll do is I'll pretty much tack everything until I get it put together, and then I think I'll wheel the frame back in here, and I'll drop the cab on it and make sure that everything fits, all the bolts go through and the mounts line up before I proceed and doing the final weld. So I'll spot weld everything in place and then test fit it. And if anything else comes up, I will take another video.